Have you ever wondered why certain events happen in your life? Why some things feel like accidents while others seem like they were meant to be? What if we told you there is a hidden truth behind every incident you face? Could there be something more to what meets the eye in every moment? Take, for example, a simple day where everything seems to go wrong. You spill your coffee, miss an important call, or maybe someone cuts you off in traffic. You might feel frustrated, even angry. But what if those moments, though unpleasant, were not mere coincidences? What if they were connected to deeper causes beyond your immediate understanding? What if these incidents were leading you towards a greater realization? Welcome to the journey of discovering the hidden truth behind every incident. Today, we will explore how Buddhism sheds light on the unseen forces that shape the events in your life. You'll understand how every action, every reaction, and even every moment of calm holds more meaning than you might think. Stay with us, and by the end of this video, you'll look at life's challenges in a completely new way. Before we dive deep into the wisdom of Buddhism, let me take a moment to welcome you to Wisdom Woven. If you're new here, we're dedicated to sharing powerful insights that can transform your perspective and your life. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us bring you more content that could change your life for the better. Now, let's begin unraveling the mysteries of life's incidents. Every event, no matter how big or small, is part of a greater design. By the end of this video, you'll see that nothing happens by chance. Every incident holds a deeper lesson just waiting to be discovered. So, let's embark on this journey together and prepare to be amazed by the truths that are hidden right in front of you. The interplay of cause and effect. In the vast web of life, every action, no matter how small, sends ripples across time and space. Like a pebble dropped into a still pond, the effects of a single moment can spread far beyond what the eye can see. This is the hidden truth behind every incident, the law of cause and effect, also known as karma. You might think of karma as something mysterious, something that belongs only to grand spiritual teachings. But in reality, it's at work in every single thing you do. Every action you take, every word you speak, every thought you entertain, creates a cause. And these causes, though sometimes invisible, give rise to effects that shape your world. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where you thought, "This is happening because of what I did earlier"? Maybe you were late for a meeting, and then realized you had procrastinated on preparing for it. Or perhaps a misunderstanding occurred, and you traced it back to an unspoken word or an action you had taken in the past. These are the simple yet powerful examples of karma in play. It's the constant dance of cause and effect that moves through everything, silently shaping the reality you experience. But let's not get lost in abstract thoughts. Let's explore how this law works in your daily life, in ways you may not have noticed before. Every time you act with kindness, the world around you seems to soften. When you offer a smile to a stranger, when you help someone in need, those simple actions set something into motion. The kindness you offer comes back to you, often in unexpected ways. Sometimes, it comes as a sense of peace within yourself. Other times, it appears as help from an unexpected source. This is karma at work. It's the universe responding to the causes you've set in motion. But not all effects are positive. If you act with anger or resentment, you may find that the world around you becomes a reflection of those feelings. You may face situations that mirror your inner turmoil, and this can make it seem like the world is against you. But in truth, the world is simply reflecting your internal state. The key to understanding the law of karma is recognizing that every action you take, every emotion you harbor, sends out a vibration into the world. That vibration then returns to you, whether it's positive or negative. The Buddha taught that life is an interplay of cause and effect. Every moment is a link in a vast chain of events, stretching backward and forward in time. It is impossible to escape this law, for it governs all beings. The Buddha's insight into karma was not just about actions, but also about intentions. It's not just what you do that matters, it's why you do it. The intention behind your actions is the true cause that sets the wheel of karma in motion. Imagine you help someone not because you care, but because you want to be seen as a good person. Even though the action itself is good, the intention behind it can create a different effect. The effect might not be one of genuine happiness, but rather a sense of self-centered pride or the desire for recognition. This is why the Buddha placed such great emphasis on mindfulness of intention. It's the heart of every action that matters the most. So, how can you use this understanding of karma to transform your life? The answer is simple. Start with awareness. Be mindful of the actions you take and the thoughts you entertain. Recognize the power of your intention. Every time you make a choice, you are creating an effect, whether you are aware of it or not. And by becoming aware, you can begin to choose actions that create positive outcomes for yourself and others. For example, if you find yourself in a challenging situation, instead of reacting with frustration or anger, pause and observe your feelings. Are they arising from a desire to control the situation? Are they fueled by fear or insecurity? Once you understand the root of your emotions, you can shift your response. Instead of reacting, you can choose to act with calm and clarity. This small shift in awareness can have profound effects, not only on the situation but also on your life as a whole. You can also observe how your past actions have shaped your present circumstances. If you're facing difficulties, ask yourself, what did I do to contribute to this situation? This is not about self-blame, but rather about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. By understanding that your actions have consequences, you can start to make wiser choices in the future. One of the most powerful ways to use the law of karma in your life is to practice generosity. Generosity doesn't just mean giving material things. It can also mean offering your time, your attention, your love, and your patience. When you give from a place of selflessness, you are creating causes that will bring you peace and fulfillment. You are sowing the seeds of happiness, and in time, those seeds will bear fruit. But it's not just about doing good deeds. The Buddha also taught that we must cultivate a heart free from attachment. When you perform an action, do so without expecting anything in return. This is the key to creating pure karma, actions that are free from the desire for personal gain. If you give something expecting a reward, you are not truly giving. You are merely trading. The law of cause and effect also extends to the way we view the world. If you approach life with the mindset that everything happens for a reason, that every incident holds a lesson, your experience of life will change. Instead of seeing obstacles as random misfortunes, you'll begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge is a chance to practice patience, to develop compassion, to refine your understanding. In the Buddhist teachings, there is no such thing as a random event. Everything that happens, both good and bad, is a reflection of the law of karma. Even the most difficult moments in your life are not to be seen as punishments, but as opportunities for transformation. Life is a mirror, and what you see in it is a reflection of your inner state. So, the next time something unexpected happens, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this incident teaching me about myself? When you begin to view every moment in this way, you'll start to see the interconnectedness of all things. You'll begin to understand that there is no such thing as a meaningless event. Every incident, no matter how small or large, is a part of a greater pattern, a pattern that you are a part of. In this way, understanding the interplay of cause and effect doesn't just change how you view life, it changes how you live it. By becoming more mindful of your actions, more aware of your intentions, and more compassionate toward yourself and others, you begin to create a world that reflects those values. And as you create that world, you start to see the hidden truth behind every incident. Everything, at its core, is connected. Every moment is a reflection of the choices you make, and every incident carries the potential for transformation. Now, as you move forward, remember that every action you take, no matter how small, has the power to shape your world. By choosing to act with mindfulness, intention, and compassion, you begin to weave a life that reflects your highest truth. The law of karma is not something to fear, but something to understand, for it holds the key to living a life of peace, balance, and wisdom. Impermanence, the ever-changing nature of reality. Imagine a river flowing, endlessly moving, its waters never staying the same for even a moment. The river is always in motion. The rocks at the bottom, the trees on the shore, the birds flying above. Everything is constantly changing. This river teaches us one of the most profound truths of life: impermanence. Everything around us is always changing. Nothing stays the same. In Buddhism, impermanence is known as anicca, which means that all things are in a state of constant flux. This is not just about physical objects. It applies to our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and even our own bodies. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is permanent. Just as the river flows, so too does life move from moment to moment. Why is this understanding so important? Because it helps us to see the truth of life clearly. If we hold on to the idea that things should remain the same, we will only set ourselves up for disappointment. We may want life to be stable, to freeze moments that feel good, to keep people around us forever. But the truth is, nothing can stay the same forever. Everything changes, and that's okay. Think about how we react when something changes unexpectedly. A sudden storm, a change in plans, a relationship that ends. These moments can be jarring, even painful. We don't like change. We often resist it. But change is inevitable. It's woven into the fabric of life. If we try to hold on to things that are meant to change, we create suffering for ourselves. The pain comes not from the change itself, but from our attachment to the way things were. This is where impermanence teaches us a powerful lesson: letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up or abandoning something. It means accepting that nothing is permanent and embracing the flow of life. The more we resist, the more we struggle. The more we cling to things that are changing, the more we suffer. But when we accept impermanence, we free ourselves from the need for control. We stop trying to hold on to things that are naturally slipping away, and instead, we learn to go with the flow. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Think of something or someone you've held on to tightly. Perhaps it's an old habit, a past mistake, or a relationship that no longer serves you. Have you ever struggled to keep something the same, only to feel the weight of that struggle? Maybe you felt that sense of loss when something changed, even though deep down, you knew that change was inevitable. Now, think of a tree. It grows, it blooms, and eventually, its leaves fall. In autumn, when the leaves turn golden and fall to the ground, the tree does not mourn its loss. It doesn't resist the change. It simply lets go, trusting that the cycle of life will continue. It knows that change is not the end, but a natural part of the journey. And in the spring, new leaves will grow. We, too, can learn to embrace the flow of life with this same trust. When we understand impermanence, we begin to see that nothing is truly lost. Everything is part of a continuous cycle. Our past experiences, our successes and failures, they shape who we are, but they do not define us. Just like the tree that loses its leaves and grows new ones, we too have the ability to let go and renew ourselves with each change. There is a saying in Buddhism, "This too shall pass." It reminds us that no matter what we are going through, it is temporary. Whether we are experiencing joy or sorrow, success or failure, it is all part of the cycle of impermanence. When we understand this, we can begin to approach life with a sense of calm acceptance. We no longer cling to moments, trying to make them last forever, because we know that each moment is a gift that will soon be gone. And in that knowing, we find peace. Impermanence also teaches us to appreciate the present moment. When we realize that everything is constantly changing, we learn to be more mindful of what is happening right now. The beauty of the present is that it is all we truly have. Yesterday is gone, and tomorrow is not yet here. So, if we are always thinking about what we've lost or what we hope to gain in the future, we miss the preciousness of the now. This moment, right here, right now, is all we can truly experience. It is fleeting, just like the leaves of the tree that fall and are replaced by new ones. If we spend too much time looking back or worrying about what's coming next, we lose the opportunity to truly live. But when we embrace impermanence, we become more present, more alive, and more connected to the world around us. It is also important to note that impermanence is not a cause for despair, but a source of liberation. When we understand that nothing lasts forever, we begin to free ourselves from attachment. We stop trying to hold on to things that are slipping away, and instead, we begin to let go. This letting go is not a loss. It is an opening, a space for new things to come into our lives. Every moment of change is an invitation. It is an invitation to grow, to learn, and to move forward. If we resist change, we limit ourselves. But if we embrace impermanence, we open ourselves to endless possibilities. Life becomes a constant unfolding, and we are no longer bound by the past or worried about the future. We simply move with the flow, trusting that everything is as it should be. Understanding impermanence also brings us closer to others. When we realize that everyone and everything around us is subject to change, we approach life with more compassion. We understand that people's actions, their behaviors, and even their emotions are in constant flux. Just like us, they are affected by the tides of change. And with this understanding, we can let go of judgment and instead offer kindness and support. In Buddhism, the understanding of impermanence is not just a mental concept, but a practice. It is something we must embody in our everyday lives. When we begin to see that everything is constantly changing, we learn to live with more flexibility, more openness, and more peace. We no longer fight against the natural flow of life. Instead, we learn to dance with it. The next time you experience a change, whether it's something big or small, remember the river. Remember the tree letting go of its leaves. Remember that everything is in motion, and that's perfectly okay. Embrace the change, trust the process, and know that with every change, there is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become more aligned with the flow of life. So, what does this all mean for you? It means that you have the power to let go. It means that you can free yourself from the attachment to the past and the anxiety about the future. It means that you can live fully in the present moment, trusting that each step you take is part of a greater journey. And that journey, though it may be filled with change, will always lead you exactly where you need to be. The power of mindfulness in understanding events. In the busy, noisy world, it's easy to lose track of what's really happening in the present moment. Most people spend their days thinking about the past or worrying about the future, but rarely do they stop to truly see the present as it is. In Buddhism, there's a powerful practice called mindfulness, and it's through this simple act of being fully aware of the present moment that we can begin to understand the hidden truths behind every incident. Mindfulness isn't about trying to escape the world or stop our thoughts. It's about paying attention. It's about observing the flow of your thoughts, your feelings, and the world around you without judgment. Imagine sitting quietly for a few moments, simply breathing in and out. Notice how each breath feels. Notice the sounds, the temperature, the sensation of the air. This simple act brings you into the now, where life is happening. And from this place, you can see the hidden connections that tie every event in your life together. When something happens, whether it's a moment of joy or frustration, our minds often jump into action. We start making judgments, labeling it as good or bad, right or wrong. But mindfulness teaches us to pause. It asks us to observe the event, to experience it without the filter of our emotions or assumptions. When we do this, we can see things more clearly. We can begin to understand why something happened, not from the perspective of our personal desires, but from a broader, more connected view. Let's think about an example. You're walking down the street, and someone bumps into you. Most people would immediately feel upset or angry, thinking, "How rude." But what happens if, for a moment, you pause and practice mindfulness? Instead of reacting, you just observe. You notice how your body tenses up, how your heart rate increases, how your mind begins to tell a story. Then, you take a deep breath and allow yourself to see beyond the surface. Maybe the person was in a hurry, maybe they didn't see you, or maybe they were distracted by something else entirely. By practicing mindfulness, you start to see that this incident is not about you, but rather just a moment in time, part of a larger flow of events. This shift in perspective is powerful. When we stop judging and reacting immediately, we begin to free ourselves from the cycle of automatic responses. In Buddhism, this is known as creating space between stimulus and reaction. In that space, you can choose how to respond. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you can choose compassion, understanding, or simply acceptance. And in that choice, you find freedom. In this space of mindfulness, you also begin to notice patterns. You see how your reactions to certain events are often linked to your past experiences, your expectations, and your attachments. For example, maybe you always get angry when someone cuts you off in traffic. Why is that? It's not just about the person driving recklessly. It's about your own attachment to how things should be. Mindfulness helps you recognize this attachment and gives you the opportunity to release it. The beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require you to do anything extraordinary. It's not about achieving something or reaching a destination. It's about simply being. It's about experiencing life as it unfolds, without trying to control it. And in this simplicity, you can uncover the hidden truth behind every incident. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to see life as a series of interconnected events, each one arising due to causes and conditions. There's no accident, no randomness. Every event is part of the larger whole, and every moment is a chance to understand that larger picture. For instance, imagine you lose your job. At first, it might feel like a devastating event, but through mindfulness, you start to see it from a different angle. You may realize that the job was never truly fulfilling for you, or that it was holding you back from pursuing something more meaningful. Maybe it was time for a change, and this event, though it feels like a loss, is actually an opportunity for growth. By being mindful of your thoughts and emotions in this moment, you can start to shift your perspective and embrace the new path ahead. Another powerful aspect of mindfulness is its ability to bring you into harmony with the flow of life. Life doesn't always unfold the way we want it to, and there will always be challenges, obstacles, and difficulties. But when you practice mindfulness, you begin to see that these challenges are not separate from you. They are not enemies. They are simply part of the natural process of life. And by accepting them as they are, you can learn from them and grow. In Buddhism, this idea is closely tied to the concept of impermanence. Everything is always changing. Nothing lasts forever, not even the difficulties you face. When you bring mindfulness to the present moment, you realize that the pain or frustration you feel in a particular incident is temporary. It will pass. Just like everything else, it's constantly shifting and evolving. When you truly understand this, you can approach every event with a sense of calm and acceptance. Through mindfulness, you also cultivate compassion. When you are present with the events of your life, you start to see that others are experiencing their own struggles and challenges. Just like you, they are trying to navigate this complex world. And when you can see their humanity, when you can see that they, too, are affected by the same forces of life, you can approach them with kindness and understanding. Mindfulness, then, becomes not just a tool for personal insight, but a way to build deeper connections with others. By seeing the hidden truth in every incident, you begin to act with greater awareness and compassion. You stop blaming others for their actions and instead start understanding them. This leads to healthier, more harmonious relationships, both with yourself and with others. The practice of mindfulness also leads to greater peace. It allows you to let go of the need to control every situation, and instead, you begin to flow with life's natural rhythm. In this state of calm, you realize that the hidden truths behind every incident are not to be feared or resisted. They are simply opportunities for growth, for learning, and for greater understanding. In Buddhism, there's a saying, when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. This doesn't mean you own everything, but rather, it means that when you stop seeking outside of yourself for answers, when you let go of your attachments, and when you fully embrace the present moment, you discover an inner peace that transcends all the chaos around you. So, what is the hidden truth behind every incident? It is this: every event, no matter how small or large, is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. It is an invitation to look deeper, to pause, and to truly see the world as it is. And in that seeing, you will uncover the interconnectedness of all things. You will begin to understand that nothing is separate from you, and that every incident is part of the beautiful, ever-changing dance of life. Mindfulness helps you realize that the truth is always present, not in some distant future or far-off place, but right here, right now. And it is through this simple act of being present that you unlock the wisdom and peace that have always been within you. Attachments and their role in perception. In life, we often hold on to things, people, and ideas. We gather these attachments over time, believing that they are the sources of our happiness. We cling to them, hoping they will bring us peace, comfort, or fulfillment. But in reality, attachment clouds our perception, creating a false view of the world around us. Imagine a flower blooming in a field. Its petals are delicate, and the flower stands tall, beautiful, and free. Now, imagine that flower being tied to a rock with a thick string. What happens to the flower? It may try to sway with the wind, but it cannot move freely. It struggles, unable to grow or adapt. The flower's natural beauty is overshadowed by the string that holds it in place. In the same way, our attachments restrict our ability to see the world as it truly is. Attachment can take many forms. We may cling to material things, like possessions, thinking they define us or give us security. We may become attached to relationships, fearing loss or rejection. We may even attach ourselves to certain ideas about who we are or what life should look like. These attachments shape how we experience life, but they also distort our view of reality. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as one of the main causes of suffering. When we attach ourselves to things that are impermanent, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Everything in life changes, from the people we love to the possessions we own. The more we try to hold on, the more we struggle. This struggle creates inner turmoil, and it prevents us from experiencing true peace. Think about the last time you felt frustrated, anxious, or upset. Perhaps it was because something didn't go the way you expected. Maybe it was a situation or a person that didn't meet your needs. In these moments, ask yourself, what am I attached to? Are you attached to an outcome, a person's behavior, or a certain way of life? This attachment may be the root of your discomfort. When we let go of our attachments, we open ourselves to a clearer view of the world. We can experience life as it is, without the heavy burden of expectations or desires. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring about people or things. It means we stop clinging to them as if they are the source of our happiness. We learn to enjoy what we have without depending on it for our well-being. In Buddhist teachings, this process is called non-attachment. Non-attachment is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about finding freedom in the present moment. It's about realizing that true peace comes from within, not from external conditions. When we stop clinging to the past or worrying about the future, we can fully experience the here and now. To understand this better, think about a bird in the sky. It soars freely, without a care. The bird is not attached to the branch it once rested on. When the wind blows, it moves with the wind. When it needs to land, it does so gently, without holding on too tightly. The bird's freedom comes from its ability to let go of what is no longer necessary. Our attachments, on the other hand, create resistance. We hold on to things so tightly that we lose the ability to move with life. We resist change, and in doing so, we create suffering for ourselves. But when we practice non-attachment, we stop resisting. We allow ourselves to flow with life, accepting whatever comes our way without judgment or fear. Non-attachment doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent to the world around us. It means we approach life with an open heart and mind. We engage with life fully, but without clinging to it. We learn to enjoy the simple moments without trying to control them. When we let go of our attachments, we make room for true happiness to enter our lives. One way to begin practicing non-attachment is through mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us become aware of our attachments and how they affect our thoughts and feelings. It allows us to observe our desires without getting caught up in them. When we feel the urge to cling to something, mindfulness gives us the space to pause and reflect. We can then ask ourselves, is this attachment serving me, or is it causing me pain? Another powerful tool is meditation. Meditation helps quiet the mind and brings us back to the present moment. It allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, and it helps us let go of the constant need to control. Through regular meditation practice, we can strengthen our ability to detach from our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. We learn to simply be, without clinging to anything. Letting go of attachments doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, but with patience and practice, we can begin to loosen our grip on the things that no longer serve us. As we do, we will notice a shift in our perception. Life becomes clearer, simpler, and more peaceful. We start to see things as they truly are, without the distortion of our attachments. This process of letting go can be challenging. We may feel afraid to release our attachments, thinking that we will lose something important, but in reality, when we let go, we gain something far more valuable: freedom. The more we practice non-attachment, the more we experience life as it is, without the weight of our desires and fears. In Buddhist philosophy, it is taught that everything is interconnected. Our attachments to one thing often affect other areas of our lives. When we cling to one thing, we may unknowingly limit our ability to experience other joys and opportunities. By letting go of attachments, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences. The beauty of non-attachment is that it brings us back to ourselves. It reminds us that our true happiness does not depend on external things. When we stop looking outside of ourselves for fulfillment, we find that everything we need is already within us. We become free to be who we truly are, without the need to prove anything to the world. As you go through your daily life, take a moment to observe your attachments. What are you holding on to? What are you afraid to let go of? Ask yourself, how can I practice non-attachment today? It may be letting go of a judgment, an expectation, or a need to control. It may be simply enjoying a moment without trying to change it. The more you practice letting go, the more you will experience the freedom that comes with it. Your mind will become clearer, your heart more open, and your life more peaceful. In the end, it is not the things we hold on to that bring us happiness, but the freedom we gain when we let go. So, embrace non-attachment and watch as your perception of the world transforms. The ripple effect, how actions shape outcomes. In the vast ocean of existence, every action we take sends ripples across the surface. These ripples travel far and wide, touching lives and events in ways we cannot always see. Just as a small stone thrown into a calm pond creates waves that expand outward, our actions, even the smallest ones, create effects that stretch beyond our immediate surroundings. The question is, do we truly understand the power of our actions? Let's begin by reflecting on a simple moment in your life. Have you ever done something small, like offering a smile to a stranger, and later discovered that it had brightened their day? Or maybe, in a moment of frustration, you snapped at someone only to regret how it affected their mood? This is the ripple effect in action. Every choice, every word, every action is like a pebble dropped into the water, sending out waves that influence everything around us. In Buddhism, this concept is deeply rooted in the law of karma. Karma is often misunderstood as a simple system of reward and punishment, but it is much more than that. Karma is the law of cause and effect, the principle that everything we do, think, or say creates an impact, no matter how small it seems at the time. It is not about judgment or punishment. Rather, it is about understanding the interconnectedness of all things. When you act with kindness, you create ripples of peace that spread beyond your own life. Your positive actions can touch the hearts of others in ways you might never fully comprehend. On the other hand, when you act out of anger or selfishness, the ripples of negativity can harm not only you but those around you as well. The consequences of your actions can come back to you, like waves returning to the shore, sometimes in unexpected forms. But the ripple effect is not limited to our immediate interactions. The world around us is interconnected in ways that we cannot fully perceive. Just as a tree falls in a forest and its impact can be felt miles away, the actions we take can influence people, situations, and events far beyond our direct reach. This interconnectedness means that what happens to us is not solely the result of our own actions. We are all part of a larger web, and our actions reverberate through that web, influencing others and being influenced in return. Imagine a situation where you help someone in need. Perhaps they were struggling with a heavy load, and you offered to carry it for them. In that moment, the act of kindness may seem simple, but the impact is far-reaching. The person you helped may feel gratitude, which in turn can inspire them to help someone else. That person, in turn, may inspire yet another. The initial ripple grows, creating a chain of positive actions that extend far beyond what you could have anticipated. This is the power of the ripple effect. It shows that even the smallest action can have a profound impact on the world. It reminds us that we are never isolated in our experiences. Our actions matter, and they shape the world around us in ways we might not always understand. In Buddhism, there is a deep understanding of this interconnectedness, and it teaches us to be mindful of the impact of our actions. Every thought, every word, every deed is connected to the greater whole. When we act out of wisdom and compassion, we contribute to the well-being of all beings. But when we act out of ignorance, anger, or attachment, we contribute to suffering. The law of karma teaches us that our actions, whether good or bad, will come back to us, not as punishment, but as an opportunity for growth and learning. It's easy to overlook the consequences of our actions in the rush of daily life. We often act without thinking, responding impulsively to situations, and moving on without considering the ripple effects. But mindfulness can help us become more aware of how our actions shape the world around us. By cultivating a practice of presence and awareness, we can learn to act with intention, creating ripples of kindness, compassion, and wisdom. In moments of anger or frustration, it's especially important to pause and reflect. The ripples of negative emotions can spread quickly, causing harm to ourselves and others. When we are mindful of our thoughts and actions, we can choose to respond with patience and understanding, creating ripples of peace instead of conflict. This doesn't mean suppressing our emotions, but rather learning to respond in ways that align with our deeper values and understanding. The ripple effect is not just about external actions. It also applies to the internal world. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions create ripples within our own minds and hearts. When we cultivate positive thoughts, we create a peaceful and harmonious inner world. Conversely, negative thoughts can create turbulence and unrest within ourselves. Just as we influence the world with our actions, we also shape our inner experience with our thoughts and intentions. Understanding the ripple effect can also help us cope with difficult situations. When faced with challenges or suffering, it's easy to feel like we are at the mercy of external circumstances. But by recognizing that our actions are part of a larger process, we can see that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. The ripples of our response to difficulties can create change, not just in our lives, but in the lives of others as well. By responding with wisdom and compassion, we contribute to the healing of the world. The teachings of Buddhism remind us that we are all interconnected. The suffering of one is the suffering of all, and the joy of one is the joy of all. When we act with awareness of the ripple effect, we recognize that every action we take, no matter how small, has the potential to make the world a better place. Our thoughts, words, and deeds matter. They shape the future, both for ourselves and for others. As you move through your day, try to remember the ripple effect. When you interact with others, be mindful of the impact of your actions. A simple act of kindness can create a chain reaction that spreads throughout the world. Even in moments of frustration or anger, remember that your response can shape the outcome. By choosing to act with wisdom and compassion, you create ripples of peace that can transform the world around you. So, as you move forward in life, remember that everything you do matters. The small actions, the quiet moments, the words you speak, all of them create ripples in the ocean of existence. The more mindful you become of these ripples, the more you can direct your actions toward creating positive change in your life and the world. In this way, you contribute not only to your own happiness and well-being, but also to the happiness and well-being of all beings. In the end, the ripple effect is a reminder of the power we each hold to shape the world around us. Every choice, no matter how small, has an impact. By acting with awareness and compassion, we can create ripples of kindness and wisdom that spread far beyond our immediate circle. And in doing so, we contribute to the greater good, bringing more peace, joy, and understanding to the world. The illusion of control over life's incidents. In life, we often feel the need to control everything. From our daily schedules to the big decisions, we strive for certainty. But what if this desire to control is an illusion? What if, instead of being in control, we are simply part of a much larger unfolding of events that we cannot fully grasp? Think about a time when you tried to control an outcome, only to find that things didn't go as planned. Perhaps you worked hard for a promotion, but someone else was chosen. Or you spent years planning a perfect vacation, only to have bad weather ruin it. In those moments, it's easy to feel helpless. It feels like everything you've worked for is slipping through your fingers. But this is the illusion of control at play. The Buddha taught that life is full of change and uncertainty. We may think we can control our circumstances, but in reality, we are at the mercy of forces far beyond our understanding. The sooner we accept this, the sooner we begin to find peace. Control, in the Buddhist sense, is not about holding on tightly to outcomes, but about mastering our inner responses to life's unpredictability. Life, in its essence, is a flow, a river that moves with its own current. We are but small boats on that river, trying to steer, but at times, we are carried by the water's direction. If we cling to the idea that we can control every ripple, we exhaust ourselves. However, if we learn to float with the current, we find harmony in the chaos. Think about a leaf drifting on a stream. The leaf has no power to control the flow of water. It doesn't resist the current, it simply moves with it. It's carried in ways it cannot predict. The leaf's wisdom lies in its acceptance, not its attempt to control. Just like the leaf, we too must learn to let go of the need for control and trust in the flow of life. In Buddhism, this concept is closely tied to the idea of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not being bound by our desire for things to be a certain way. It's not about giving up. It's about giving in to the natural rhythm of life, understanding that there are things beyond our reach. When we try to control, we often create suffering. This suffering arises from our resistance to what is happening in the moment. When things don't go the way we want, we feel frustrated, angry, or sad. But if we step back and observe, we can see that our emotions are often a reaction to our attachment to a particular outcome. If we could let go of that attachment, the suffering would ease. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to cultivate equanimity, a state of mind that remains balanced regardless of external circumstances. Equanimity is not about passivity or resignation. It's about being present with what is, without trying to change it. It's about responding to life's incidents with a calm and clear mind, free from the impulse to control.